Hi, Gary Stearman. I'd like to talk for a moment about a very contemporary subject, one that boggles the mind. Artificial intelligence is what I'd like to talk about, and what the Bible says about artificial intelligence. A couple of decades ago, I began to notice that what was going to unfold in the near future bore a striking resemblance to some things that we read about in the prophet Daniel. And of course, everybody has read Daniel 12:4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Now, thousands of words have been written about this little verse. And there have been many opinions, and a lot of them agreeing in various ways. But Daniel is instructed here by the angel to seal the book. That means the prophecy is ended, even to the time of the end. Are we living in the end times? I think most would say that we are. Those who at least believe in the Bible. Many shall run to and fro, knowledge shall be increased. You've heard about this prophecy, many running to and fro. Think about all of the trucks, the buses, the airlines, literally hundreds of millions of passengers going around the world 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And certainly Daniel's prophecy has come true, and this must be the time of the end. And then he says, knowledge shall be increased. And this is what I'd like to talk about a bit today. And you may have heard about a recent set of news releases, beginning with one by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a South African-born Canadian inventor. He's, by the way, developed many, many wonderful inventions, and a wonderful car called the Tesla electric car, which is very high on the must-buy list for the super rich, but it's a fantastic piece of machinery. Elon Musk is on the cutting edge of electrical and electronic development, and recently he called artificial intelligence a looming threat over the world. He said it's a threat to humanity. And by the way, his remarks were followed by those of Stephen Hawking. Everybody knows about Stephen Hawking, the wheelchair-bound physicist, the cosmologist, the author. He was interviewed by the BBC, and he said, and I quote, "The development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race." And he began to talk on about what would happen. He said it would take off on its own and redesign itself at an ever-increasing rate. One could say at an exponential rate. Humans, who are limited by slow biological evolution. By the way, I would disagree at that point because I'm not an evolutionist. But Hawking believes in evolution. He says humans are limited by slow biological evolution, could not compete, and would be superseded. And the implication is that they would be wiped out by the artificial intelligence if man could not control it. And he made a very good case for the fact, as has Elon Musk, made a very good case for the fact that once artificial intelligence begins to move out on its own, well, guess what's next? What is next is that it would begin to be self-cognizant. It would begin to have a sense of who it is and its need to control its own destiny. And of course, a number of different sci-fi movies, programs have been written along these lines. So the intellectual world is afraid of artificial intelligence. And I go back to Daniel, who said in Daniel 12:4, knowledge shall be increased. Now, that's not the half of it. Because we're heading into a time, I think, of international dictatorship, during which time competition will focus down to a very, very few men, according to the prophecies of Daniel, and ultimately to one man who's called the king. Some call him the willful king. Daniel 11:36, the king shall do according to his own will. He shall exalt himself, magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper until the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. The indignation, of course, being the great tribulation, God's judgment of planet Earth. And then verse 37 of Daniel 11 says, neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, that would be Jehovah, the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. And of course, Paul in 2 Thessalonians says that he will stand up in the temple of God, calling himself God. Verse 38 of Daniel 11 says, but in his estate shall he honor the God of forces. Well, who is the God of forces? The God of fortresses, it could be translated. A God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold, silver, precious stones, and pleasant things. This is the Antichrist we're talking about here, who will gain his power from a God that his fathers knew not. It would have to be what we would call an alien God. I mean, there's no other conclusion you can come to. And verse 39 of Daniel 11 says, thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory, and he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. And I pointed out many years ago that we have here a pronoun. He shall cause them to rule over many. Who are these mysterious people? Some would say, well, they are the 10 horns, the 7 kings that Daniel mentions elsewhere in his prophecy. But certainly they're tied up in some way with this alien God. And in fact, that's exactly what Daniel 11 and 39 says, an alien God. He's also hinted at back in Daniel chapter 2, where we have the very, very well-known prophecy of the statue with the head of gold. And in verse 43 of Daniel chapter 2, it says, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry or brittle clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And clearly the implication here is that something is going to try to genetically merge with humans, but that effort will not be successful. So let's go back now and try to make some sense of all this, because what's happening? Artificial intelligence is definitely being manufactured. But what is artificial intelligence? Well, let's go to Ray Kurzweil, who is the director of engineering at Google. He's working on such things as the self-driving car, and he is working on the precursors of artificial intelligence. And I'm quoting here, he predicts humans will become hybrids in the 2030s. That means that our brains will be able to connect directly to the cloud, where there will be thousands of computers, and these computers will augment our existing intelligence. How's that? Be hooked up to the cloud, and you won't have to remember anything. All you have to do is just see what the cloud says about it, and then speak it through your own lips. Sounds good to me. Well, maybe not. There will be thousands of computers, and those computers will augment our existing intelligence. Who controls the computers, by the way, that are hooked into those future human brains? He said that the brain will connect via nanorobots, tiny robots made from DNA strands, hook right into the brain. And he says, and I quote, our thinking then will be a hybrid of biological and non-biological thinking. But Ray Kurzweil, along with Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk, also says that artificial intelligence, that is the ability to develop thinking machines, is the greatest threat that there is to humanity. Humanity being controlled by some kind of an alien overlord speaking to the human brain through nanorobotics. Wow. Sounds like sci-fi. Back to Daniel chapter 12, verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, seal the book, even to the time of the end. This is the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro. We're seeing that right now. Nonstop, 24/7. Everybody's going everywhere. They're going physically via transportation. They're going mentally via the World Wide Web. There is constant traffic. Knowledge, says Daniel, shall be increased. And that's when Daniel's prophecy comes to an end. Indeed, knowledge has been increased. The speed at which developments are being made is now immeasurable. It has gone exponential, and nobody knows how exponential except a few top researchers, and they're beginning to express fear that humanity may die, lorded over, if you will, by artificial intelligence of some sort. You know, when I read the Bible, I am amazed. And by the way, when I read the Bible, I read it as actuality. I read it literally. I believe that when Daniel was instructed to write these words, they were to be taken exactly as he wrote them. Certainly. He wrote them at the behest of the one true God. Daniel, arguably one of the greatest prophets, maybe the greatest prophet who ever lived, told us about what would be happening in our times. And what's just ahead? Artificial intelligence and the intrusion of some alien god and or gods acting through someone called the Antichrist to control humanity. And we read about Stephen Hawking, who is confined to that wheelchair. We've all seen pictures of him. We've all heard his artificial speech. And he's sounding that warning, sounding the warning that mankind could be superseded. Wow. Well, read Daniel again with that in mind. I think you'll find it very enlightening. I'm Gary Stearman. Have a great day in the Lord. Tell people about the Lord, by the way, when you get a chance. There may not be much longer to do that. And keep watching. We are. Thanks for joining us on Prophecy Watchers. You can find us on the web at prophecywatchers.com, where you can sign up for our free email newsletter, or follow us at facebook.com/prophecywatchers. In the meantime, keep watching, everybody, and we'll see you soon.